Hi there, Working Homeschool Moms. This is Charlotte from Charlotte Jones 24/7 and My Little Homeschool. And this is episode number 90 of the Strike a Balance podcast for Working Homeschool Moms. Today, I am sharing a delightful episode. I got to speak to two wonderful people, Ninon and Thomas, from the Ways to Teach, about Worldschooling, about the benefits, the challenges, about raising kids in the world, and about working at the same time, entrepreneurship. It is a fantastic episode. It is incredibly inspiring, and I'm sure you're going to love it as much as I absolutely adored recording it. But before we get to the episode, I'd be ever so grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It just means that more working homeschool moms can find it. And in that way, we can build this beautiful working homeschool mom community together. Thank you so much and enjoy the episode. Hi there, and welcome to the Strike a Balance podcast for Working Homeschool Moms. This is Charlotte Jones. I'm your host, and I am a podcaster, a speaker, a writer, and a homeschooling coach, specifically for working homeschool moms. I've been homeschooling my neurodivergent twin boys since 2017, and I've been a working homeschool mom since 2017. So I know it can feel really overwhelming to keep all the balls in the air all the time. So each week I chat about tips and strategies for being a happy and thriving working homeschool mom. I cover things like time management, homeschooling, mindset, and lots of other juicy topics like that. I also speak to awesome and inspiring women who manage to juggle homeschooling and work successfully and find out what their secrets are. And I also welcome experts who can help you on your working homeschool mom journey. I have lots of ways to support you, so be sure to check them out in the show notes. You can download my time audit as your first step to managing your time better. I have a Facebook group for working homeschool moms that you can join as well. And be sure to sign up to my newsletter for weekly updates. And if you need additional support, you can join the WHM Collective, which is a supportive community of working homeschool moms where we delve deeper into topics that are going to help you thrive as a working homeschool mom. Or if you need one-to-one support, be sure to book in a session with me. I'm so excited for you to be here, and I know you'll get so much value out of this episode. So let's get started. Working homeschool mom, I know how overwhelming it can be to choose a math curriculum for your homeschool. That's why I'd like to tell you about the online math curriculum we've been using for years, ctcmath.com. As far as math curriculums go, it has loads of great features that solve lots of the math issues we've had, and I know a lot of homeschooling families have. Here are just a few of the many features that we really like. Questions are adaptive, which means the interactive questions change in difficulty depending on the student's ability. The program uses a smart algorithm that tracks the student's progress and delivers questions based on their exact needs. The student doesn't even know this is happening, helping them to build confidence and master math concepts. Concepts are delivered through video tutorials and summaries which are clear, complete, and easy to follow. It's like having your very own teacher. This ensures your children understand something before they're asked to practice it. And then for us parents, CTC Math has extensive reports which are so valuable in monitoring your child's progress and spotting any gaps. And they offer a 12-month money-back guarantee if this curriculum is not for you and your family. CTC will provide a full refund, no questions asked. But I think the most important thing is a whole lot less stress when it's math time for both parents and kids. You get to outsource math with confidence, and your kids get a fantastic tailor-made program that makes learning and mastering math enjoyable and positive. Visit CTC Math today to start your free trial. CTC Math is also offering you, listener, an amazing special. When you go to ctcmath.com/MLH, you can get a half price discount plus a bonus 6 months for free. That's ctcmath.com/MLH. Today, I am super excited to welcome Ninon and Thomas onto the podcast, and I'm super excited to chat about the topic we're going to be covering today. Ninon and Thomas are passionate writers and the co-founders of The Ways to Teach. They are the parents of 3 bilingual children who they've been unschooling from day one, and last August, they embarked on a world schooling adventure, which I followed with such joy, exploring the globe while embracing a love for literacy and education inspired by the concept of a live geography and open-minded education. They believe that true learning happens through real-life experiences and interactions. As avid travelers, Ninon and Thomas cherish the opportunity to immerse themselves and their children in different cultures and origins. They believe that world schooling offers a unique way to broaden horizons, foster empathy, and cultivate a deep appreciation for diversity. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy that we're able to talk today.
Hello.
Thank you, Charlotte, for having us. Hello.
So today, like I said, I'm super excited to be talking about world schooling. It's something that I would so desperately love to do. So I'm always interested in hearing people's experiences and how families manage world schooling. So how would you define world schooling? Before we get into your experiences, maybe we can talk about how you would define world schooling and what sets it apart from traditional homeschooling or education systems.
Okay, well, to start, our definition of world schooling is about using travel and real life experience, real world experience, to foster a learning experience for our children. And so it's all about seeing the world as a source of knowledge, something that you can, pick apart and gain a lot of insight from and a lot of motivation from. So it's set apart from homeschooling and traditional educational system in different way. First, you're not confined into a classroom. You don't have any standardized curriculum to follow through. So on the contrary, it uses everything at hand: the nature, communities that you encounter, the different culture that you are discovering through your travels, and
Through geography.
yeah, and the different historical sites that you visit and discover. So basically, it's like the world is your oyster, is a good definition of it, because you just go throughout your life wandering from one place to another and embracing everything that's brought to you in this way, and it makes you grow as a person, as an individual, and as a part of the world.
Absolutely. I love that. I remember kind of had a taste of it the first time that I went overseas. My mind was just blown. And I mean, I think, 16 or 17. It was the first time I went abroad. And I just thought, oh my goodness, I can't believe there's a whole nother world out here.
Yeah. We have a saying in France that says, just a rough translation, that travels form youth. It makes use better. It forms use. So it's educate will be the good term. So travels educate youth, and I think that's true. I think you were raised in a bubble in a way, and when you go out you don't have a real vision of what is the world, and when you go out you will see that the world is big, that it's welcoming, and you will learn. I mean, you learn faster when you experience things. It's not, books are great, and we will talk about books and the way you can travel from home also. But when you go there, you don't have to think about it. You're just living it.
Actually, we both started our adult life in brackets by going abroad and experiencing life for ourselves for the first time. Personally, I just took my backpack and I went to Ireland, and that's where I learned to speak English. But that's also where I learned how to live as a single person that had to look after himself. And it was such an enriching experience, because I just went from the guy who just could boil water to make pasta to someone who had to deal with bills, who had to work, accumulate different jobs to make ends meet, and then discover new people, new language. Everything was just happening so fast. And when I went back home after 3 or 4 years, and I encountered my friend from the time, there were such a big leap and a big gap between us, because I had grown so fast and they had stayed the same, just because of that experience.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so wonderful that you can allow your kids to have that from a very young age as well. So how old is your youngest child?
Seven. So 7, 11, and 15.
Such an amazing experience for them.
When we started traveling, he was a few months old
Yeah.
because we sold everything in France to move to Australia.
in
and in
2016.
2016, and that was a big adventure. So weirdly enough, is the first bilingual child because he was really raised in the Anglo-Saxon culture, and after we came back to France, so it's, equally both are his countries. And it was a good start. And I think it's funny because I was speaking with my eldest son, and he was telling me, Mom, what I like is to be outside and travel around the world. I like to meet new people. So it's like a bug. When you catch it, it's really hard to forget about it. And I did the same as Thomas. As a young adult, I took my bag and I went to New York City. I lived there for 5 years, and I never came back. In a way, when I came back, I couldn't adapt anymore, and I always want to go somewhere. So it's a bug.
The WHM Collective is a monthly membership on Patreon that was created with you in mind, Working Homeschool Mom. If you're just starting out on your journey, or if you're finding it difficult to find your groove, then the WHM Collective is definitely the membership for you. Each month, we delve into topics that are going to help you thrive as a working homeschool mom, such as homeschooling, schedules, time management, and lots of other juicy topics. I know how busy life is for you, working homeschool mom, and I know how complicated life is too. So that's why this membership is super simple. Each month, there's one live workshop, one ebook, and one session of office hours where you can have your questions answered in real time. In addition, you'll get one free coaching session per membership and an added bonus of having access to all past content, which you can work through in your own time. So if you're feeling like you need some additional support as a working homeschool mom, then I really hope that you will consider joining the WHM Collective, because I know that it will help you so much to find clarity and to move forward in your working homeschool mom life. Maybe you can also share some personal experiences or anecdotes that kind of show the benefits and the unique opportunities that Worldschooling offers.
Yeah, so many. So I'm just gonna try to go through them like bullet points on different level. First, the biggest one is the cultural immersion. From living in the countries where we live, we understood that being part of the country is really important in understanding its culture, its custom, its people, its language. And so when we travel with our kids, we bring that with us. So we do as much as we can not to be tourists, but to become part of the country we are staying in. And our children use that a lot. So on our last big trip, when we started by going to Thailand, then Vietnam, then Bali, then Australia, and so on. In every country, we made as much effort as possible to integrate. So our children learn to speak some words in Thai. Somewhere we try to speak some words in Vietnamese,
It's
even
really
if
hard.
it was very
Yes.
hard because the pronunciation is complicated.
Yeah.
But we made the step toward the people to show that we are willing to speak, we are willing to learn. And so that cultural immersion comes from that. Then there's also the benefit of historical exploration. When you're studying in school, I studied in school when I was a kid, and contrary to my children,
And you work.
and I work in school as well as a teacher, I can see that our historical curriculum is focused on one point of view. And when you travel the world, you discover that history exists in other country in a different way, and that it's older even than in your own
And
country.
it's very important
And,
also.
and so just first step in Thailand, going through the different cities there, Ayutthaya, which was the capital at the time, we understood the different era that happened there and how far we were from understanding all that
Yeah.
before the beginning of the trip.
How far we were from the start of the civilization, actually.
Yeah.
That was an idea somewhere, but we never lived it or quite, grasp the idea. But Ayutthaya was, I think, the biggest city in the world or something like that. So suddenly you're like, oh, really? I didn't know about that, because your history is also focused on your country and what surrounds your country. But
So
now
yeah,
it's world history.
it's like you're in a bubble, you burst it, and you realize that there are millions of bubbles out there, and you're like suddenly seeing them all. And so that was for the historical part, but then it's also about environmental education. My God, the amount of plastic we saw in the world, and the way it's used, and the way it's polluting the earth, and that was really,
Disturbing.
breathtaking, disturbing, and our children were already aware of that beforehand. But here it came to a full effect. We really understood that something has to be done about it. And it's linked also to the problem of water throughout the world. You can't drink tap water in many countries as you go around the world. And you realize that the water is important. Something that's as trivial as just flicking on a tap back home just became something complicated. You had to go through a shop, but in the shop they just sell 3 or 5 liter bottle of water, which are in plastic, so it's even more plastic. It's just like a
Yeah.
conundrum that's going on, and you're just losing your mind over it. So that realization is brought, and it's a benefit for me to have that realization. So it's brought by this travel.
And you realize that I thought I was pretty careful with water at home, and I was like, no, I'm not. Like it's really precious. Water is so precious. So when I came back, I was more careful.
Mm.
Mm.
I'm
So,
saving all the water, like if you don't finish your glass of water, how many times you'll throw the end of it in your sink or whatever. You do it, it's automatic, you don't think about it. Now I put everything in a water can so I can water flower outside. So I changed a lot of my actions because of that.
and our kids see that, and they're part of it. They're included in everything we do, obviously.
I just want to add something, because when you say to a kid you cannot do that because it's not good for the planet, it's a concept. It doesn't understand it. But if an adult will be the same, we say to people, be careful, careful of pollution, be careful, blah blah blah, no water. It's a concept. They're like, oh, okay, but they don't live it. They didn't see it. When you see it, when you
Mhm.
experience it, it's different. You cannot avoid it. You cannot be like, okay, well, maybe. No, you lived it.
There are other benefits. We started our company just before leaving, and then as we went through the world, around the world, we had to develop our company, which is still in development because it takes a long time. But our children are part of that too, because they see us struggling every day with what we have to do, what we're trying to accomplish, what we are trying to create. And they also see how we embrace creativity and how we embrace curiosity to make the content that we create bigger, wider, and open and creative.
Hmm.
And so we're showing the example of what it is to build a business, and we're showing the example of what it is to fend for yourself in a country where you don't know anything, how to take the tram, the subway, and interacting with a different society, different hours as well. And all those little things, they are imprinted on their mind, and to them it's a great experience because they
Hmm.
are living it. And when it's their turn to start to do something, all those little bits of information are coming back up. So it's a great educational tool to leave this construction.
And it shows them also that, yes, entrepreneurship is not easy, but it's not bad either. And sometimes taking a leap can be scary, but you'll be okay at the end. So it's a good lesson about life. Life is bumpy and it's fine, and we'll still had laughs and fun, and we met great people. Like, we had such a rich human experience. And I think at the end you see what is the most important. Is the most important is being okay because you have a salary that is the same every month, or is that better to live fully your life with all the emotion that it includes, even one the ones that are not that nice, but it's part of who you are. You're a human being, you need to feel. So I think it's a good lesson for them, and it brings so much empathy in their education. It's like my eldest daughter said a sentence that I found admirable. We were in Mexico, and she said, "You know, Mom, before we left for this trip, I was thinking and focused on myself only. And now I care about people more." So I was like, okay, yes, that's a great lesson.
My job is done here.
Yeah. Goodbye. Drop the mic.
Yes, and I think it's also so wonderful in terms of entrepreneurship and all these life skills that kids get to learn them from really young as well. Because, like you said, maybe you went to school, you went to university or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you only had the opportunity to learn these things. But they are learning them from when they are much younger, and they can. I think it's such a great lesson to teach them because also they have less fear. I think they've got less fear than as an adult, we are, I think, you become naturally more fearful, especially if you have kids.
Mm.
So they can do things that, with abandon and without worrying about too
Yeah,
much
exactly.
at all. And I think it's a great gift to give them.
I think they're more anxious when we're back home than when we're out, actually.
Mm,
And I always admire that in American culture that entrepreneurship is something that is really part of the culture, but not in France. It's really scholar. But I think that's not a good thing. Actually, I think we should be more about entrepreneurship, especially with the word that is coming to us. You have to be creative. You have to, change countries. Maybe our kids will have to go out and create things, and it will be a different world.
absolutely. Yes, it's so very true. Okay, so obviously there are many, many, many wonderful benefits, but we have to always look at both sides. So have there been some things that have been maybe difficult, any challenges that you have faced while you've been world schooling?
I think the challenges come more often of the perception of other people than of what we are actually doing.
Can I just say something?
Hmm?
If I bring one challenge for me, it was to see what I would have preferred unseen. Like seeing all the pollution was really hard for me because it made me so upset. Not such a big plastic fan, but I mean, life is about truth also, and truth is not always easy to handle.
Mm,
So that will be one of the challenge for me, and it took me, I think, quite a bit of time to feel better. And because I felt powerless, I saw people that for me were enslaved and things like this. So you have a reality of the world that is quite disturbing, and you see that countries like ours could change things and we don't, in a way, because I think mass tourism did a lot of that, and that's problematic. And you want to say, people, change your way to be a tourist. You can change your way to be a tourist. Don't come and just spend your money and think you have a wonderful life and take beautiful pictures, because behind you have human beings, and some are suffering, but they're still so resilient and nice and smiling. So that was the hard part for me. If you travel, you will see reality that you don't want to see, or that are not showed or transformed or whatever. So that could be a challenge for some people.
Yeah, and so when you live your life like that, suddenly you take that truth in your face, and you have to come to term with it.
Yeah.
And it's true that you feel helpless, and in a way, we could just say, "Oh, let's drop everything and start doing something here." The biggest problem is that now most of the world is run through money, and when you want to try to do something like that, it takes money, time, or use. And when you have your children with you, it makes it a little bit harder than when you are traveling as a young adult, because suddenly you are concerned with their well-being as well, so you need to provide for them.
Yeah, you're not as free as you used to be. That's normal. But I think you can offer things even at your level, and you can always offer, you can always listen, you can always offer your humanity. We stayed in a hotel in Bali for months, and we talked to the people who worked with the hotel. We spent time with them. We shared our food. I cooked for them. Thomas gave a free English lesson. We built our little family, and it was great. It was so great for us also, because they gave back. Because when you give, you feel better. So I always say to people, give, and you will feel more happier. And I think it's important. And when you go through experiences like this and you see that even a small gesture like making crepes can bring such happiness, and that's it. That's not hard. So it reminds us this
Hmm.
every time we travel.
You do sing at your
Just say
level,
hello.
and you engage with the people. So that's one of the big challenges, the misconception associated with world schooling, and so that's when you're confronted by people. For us, it's when we are confronted by people back home. We will have some questions thrown our way, like, "Ah, you're going around the world. You're on holiday." Or what about your kids? How do they make friends? What about schools? All those questions are always coming, and it's always because people see things through their lens, from their point of view. And when you're doing world schooling, it's the totally opposite. You have to be open to everything that happens around you, so you can soak it in, and you can use it as a jump board, to push you forward in life. So we are not on holiday, we are living life. We are enjoying and discovering everything that the world has to offer, and we are being a part of it. We are not staying in our
And
box.
sometimes we don't enjoy actually.
Yeah.
We're really living life. Sometimes it
What
doesn't go as planned at all.
what about friends? Well, our kids have many friends, but they don't have friends of their age only. They have friends from a big range of age, because that's one of the misconception. With school, you tend to be put into a box, and raised with people of your own age as being the one that you have to interact with. But in fact, when you're living life, you're interacting with everybody. And so by going around the world and meeting different people, you encounter all those people
Yeah.
and all those different ages. And our children, even if they are going from 7 to 15, they still play together because they have not that barrier of the age. And they still interact with people, whether they're adults, young adults, grandparents,
Yeah,
or
now they have a Vietnamese grandmother.
exactly.
So, and that's the term. They said, oh, Cecile, which
Yeah.
is an old lady. That's what is good about travel. I almost lost an arm during this travel because a huge dog, went through me and took my arm with it. And the thing is, it put me down right away because I'm 47. So you don't heal as well. Morally, it was hard, and I had to take a break from my business, and I couldn't deliver what I was supposed to deliver, and I felt bad. I thought it was not professional or whatever. People were very kind. They were like, "We're waiting." But it was hard. And at the end, a friend of mine told me, Nino, you're such a badass. And I was like, really? And I was like, yeah, because you went through that. And I never saw someone who continued to go even if she has a lot of troubles or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe, but it didn't feel good at the time. So we had bad times during this trip, and we didn't really share about it because, I mean, for me, it's normal. It's part of life. It's not always nice. And when we arrived in Saigon, we were pretty desperate. We had a pretty bad experience just before, and we were lost in the city that is really noisy, and we were walking. But I think it's a good lesson because it shows that you go further, you continue to go. And so we were walking in the street, and suddenly we heard bonjour, and it was an old Vietnamese lady, and she learned French as a kid, and she heard us speak French. So we had this conversation in the street, and she was like, come back and see me. So Saigon was the most extraordinary human experience that we had because we were adopted by this woman, and she had nothing. She was not really rich, but she gave us a heart. She cooked for us. She took care of us. I mean, that was extraordinary. And, it was a good lesson because we were like, okay, we're complaining, but why? Some people, they don't have much, but they know how to make life really happy, and they will take every opportunity to build something that is very nice. So I think, yes, you have challenges, and yes, it's not always marvelous or whatever, but life is not. So I think it's just what it is. It's life. What schooling is life. And we have to say that we always did world schooling even from home.
Mm.
I think it's just a way to think. It's not because you travel that you do world schooling, because a lot of people will travel and not do it.
Because when you can't go to the world, you can make the world come to you.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways to do that. We have always opened our doors, and we've welcomed people from all over the world to stay at our place. We met some people on the beach, and we just say, "Oh, you're traveling. Well, do you want to come for lunch or for dinner?" We throw those
Sometimes people are
opportunities.
like, okay, are they serial killers? It does happen, but sometimes it doesn't, and they
But
come, and we have good friends like this,
and it was exactly the opposite in Vietnam. We heard that bonjour, and we got offered the same opportunities that we offered back home,
Yeah.
and we jumped on it. You have to seize every opportunity. It's like seize the day.
Yeah, it
I
is.
feel like Dead Poet
It
Society
is.
there.
And that was the
But
best thing ever.
yeah,
I think when you travel like this, you're more in harmony with your instinct. Like, think when you're at home, you're always kind of judging others, and because
on the
we're in a
defensive.
society
Yeah.
that judge people, and it's like this. So even if you don't want to, you do it a bit.
Yeah, we make
But
TV show about it.
yeah,
We judge people, and we keep the best singer, we keep the
yeah.
best dancer. That's
But when you're out in the wild, I will say, you forget about that. You just trust your instinct. So you don't know this person, but it's a good thing to go there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think you've just brought up such a beautiful point as well, which I think all homeschoolers have been asked, and that's the idea of socialization, and the fact that you can
Yeah.
have very natural and very organic socialization if you're open to that. And I love the idea of, like you said, not just being stuck in your one age level, because at school it's like they make you compete with the other ages, the other grades. You're like, oh, we're in this grade, and we don't like to mix. But I love that idea of just being able to have a conversation with a 2-year-old or an 82-year-old. It's so natural and organic.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
why what's funny is that often people are they in France they use that word socializing. How do are your kids socializing? Well, in fact, our kids are socializing even more because they can interact with everybody. They're not afraid to go and talk to someone because it's an adult, and that's a difference with most of the students I have in school who are always hesitating or thinking twice before going up to someone to have a normal interaction.
I think that I always found this, I'm sorry, but not a good question to ask. And I'm like, okay, people, think about what you're saying right now, because, oh, read Aristotle. Aristotle said the man is a political animal. It means that we naturally tend to go to other people. And if you don't, it's because you don't want to, and that should be allowed. Sorry. We have an inspection every year in France, and every year they would ask to my daughter, do you have friends? And she was like, oh, that's so annoying. If I don't want to have friends, am I am I allowed not to have friends? So one day they say, oh, that's good, you go to
You do horse riding
horse
classes.
riding classes, so you make friends. And she looked at them, I was so proud. She looked at them and she was like, I don't go there to make friends, I go there to ride horses. That's what I do. And I thought that was so mature, and they had nothing to say. But it's really reducing the kid to, you go to school to make friends. No, I went to school, I didn't make friends at school, I was a different child, and it was hard for me. So you make friends wherever you want to make friends, at school, elsewhere, but you were born in a family, you are not born in a box, so you're socialized since the day you were born, because you have a mother, a father, you have cousins, you have
You
grandparents,
go to the
because
bakery.
you go to the bakery. You don't live by yourself in a cave. So this question is annoying me because it's just wrong. You know what I mean? It's just wrong.
Absolutely. But still, I mean, it's such a misconception that people have about homeschooling, world
Yes.
schooling, all that kind of stuff. It's like the number one thing that people want to ask all the time, every single
Mm.
time.
I have two more
Because they heard
misconceptions
it.
that I would like to address. Also, the first one is a lot of people ask about academic progress. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how are they going to do? Are they going to go to uni? Are they? But if they go to uni, they have to do this and that. Basically, there's like one path to follow, and people believe that it's a unique way to do it. Thankfully, by going abroad early, I didn't go to uni before I went to Ireland. And then I came back and I was like 26 years old and I decided to go back to uni at that time. And I realized that you can go at uni to uni at any time. My mother went back to university when she retired, and so with that in mind, I can now address that question always properly. You learn what you want, when you want, how you want. If you need a piece of paper at some stage, well, you're going to go and get it because you're motivated to do it, and there's nothing stopping you to do it.
Yeah, you learn all your life. It's not limited to your childhood. You don't learn from, like 6 years old to 18 years old. That's not how it works. You can, I mean, all the big entrepreneurs of this world they never been
Or
to uni,
or they didn't
or
finish
they
it.
quit or whatever. It's not about that. It's about the will. If you want something, you will make it happen. And I think,
And the other misconception is also about family dynamics. I think
Mm-hmm.
that people who ask about that, how can you stand to be with your kids all the
Mm.
time?
we
I hate
love
that
it.
question. I
They
hate
are,
that question.
yeah, they are the people that I often hear saying, "Oh, thank God, the holidays are over. I'm going to be able
Mm.
to put my kids back in school." And I'm like, why did you make them in the first place? You know,
Mm-hmm.
we spend so little time with our children in the grand scheme of life, because we raise them, but then they're 18 and they are leaving the nest, 18, 20, sometimes
But
earlier.
I think that's not their fault. I think they don't know each other. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Like, we know our kids so well. We don't fight. We're a team. There is no
well, we
uh,
do fight, but
yeah, no, but I mean,
yeah.
not like, yeah, we fight because it's healthy to fight. But what I mean, but not that much. My daughter was telling me, I cannot be angry with you guys because I love you so much. And I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh, another mic drop
Yeah,
moment.
because she's 15, and
And
I remember my own relationships with my mom, but we were apart because I was going to school. So basically, we know their personalities, and at home, my motto is, it's not about obedience, because
like that
I
word.
don't like that word. It's about teamwork, and respect. So we're a team. We're a team of five. This is how I see my family. So we help each other. We're kind to each other. We make concessions and stuff like this because we want the team to work together, and it works. So people often tell me, "Oh, your kids are so great," and I'm like, "Well, they're kids, they
Actually, our daughter has been pestering us for a week now, saying, "Guys, we need to organize you a date night." So
Oh,
that's our
sweet.
new motto, and we're like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll take." So, but now she's focused on that. So,
yeah, yeah.
and that's just another proof of how that dynamic works. We are looking out for one another in different ways, each at our own levels, but. The youngest one will come in and we'll have a sentence sometimes just out of the blue, and we'll be like, "Wow, where does that come from?" And it make our heart swell, and we are just so proud and so happy that he was able to come to this conclusion. And so all those dynamics are emphasized by going on the road, because you are even more together than
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, we slept in the same room for 7 months. So, you
Mhm.
cannot be more together. You're together 24 hours on
Yeah.
24 hours. And that's fine. And I was quite surprised it was okay.
Mm.
Like, it was okay.
Yeah, and I think that also And we like to write stories and tell stories, and it's also the power of reading, because thanks to book, when you want to immerse yourself, cut yourself off from the rest of the group, you don't need to change room. You jump into a book and you're in your own world.
Yeah.
And so we are still able to have our personal moment on the road, even if we're all in the same room, in the same train, in the same bus. We are able to have those moments which are important, where we
Or
can be
we,
ourselves with
yeah,
our
or
thoughts.
with other people.
Mm.
Our daughter met a girl at the market in Bali, and this girl she's working every day in the market. And I don't know, they bonded. So she was like, "Do you want to come with me and work in the market?" So our daughter went to the market and worked there for
Yeah.
1 day or 2 days, I don't remember, and shared the same meal. And she spent the day there, and she loved it, and she learned so much about Balinese culture and what
And
the,
she made some of those little thing with the banana leaves and the
yeah,
flowers for
yeah.
the ceremonies and everything.
So
That was a
you
really great
can,
experience.
yeah, you can create your moments even if you're together.
Absolutely. Those are some amazing stories. Like I said, one day I hope to have some of these experiences myself. I think it sounds like like you said, such an enriching experience for you as parents, for your
Yeah.
kids, just as a family, as
Mm.
humans. At the end of the day.
I just want to be truthful with all the people who will listen this podcast. I'm sorry. I hope our English is good enough to be understood by everybody. It's challenging because even if I consider myself pretty free-minded, I was still raised in a society and went to school. And these messages, because you get these messages all your childhood, because you go to school from 5 6 years old to 18 20 years old. So I listened to that all my childhood. So I have moments of doubts. I have moments, or I'm like, oh, did I make the good choice? Maybe it would have been better to have one house and they have like a regular life and stuff like this. But at one point of the day, of the month, of the week, one of my kids will come and tell me something so profound, or so funny, or so smart, that I will be like, yes, we made the good choice, because we don't have a bad choice in life. We have a life that we built because we believe, because we have faith, because we love. And it doesn't matter if we have different lives, but the life that we built, we have to trust it's the best for us. And I want to say that because sometimes people, I had followers for a long time. I had a big Instagram account that I closed, and sometimes people will write to me, "Oh, you're so courageous, I admire you," and they feel bad about the choice they make. Don't be mad about your choices. Don't think that you're doing something bad. If you want to change your life, just do it. It's hard, but it's worth it. But for me, there are no bad choices except not to love your children. If you love your children and you show it every day, you made the good choice.
It's fun. It's funny because what Ninon says is reminding me one video I used to show my students in class, which was an extract from a speech from Steve Jobs at was it Harvard, I believe, and he said you cannot connect the dot looking forward.
No.
You can only connect them looking backward. So basically, you are where you are in your life at this point because of all the choices you've made before.
Yeah.
And so you cannot just think about what if. That's not going to change everything. But you need to multiply those opportunities in your life that will give you choices so that you're going to broaden your horizon and have more and more opportunities. One of his examples is that at one stage he was interested in calligraphy and took a calligraphy class without a goal. It was not, I took this because I need to do that. It was because it was what he wanted to do. And then years later, building his computer in his garage, he had the idea to create font. And now we have many different types of font on our Word software, our computer software. And that all comes down from that little moment, that little idea. And so things happen, you make choices, and you try to broaden your horizon to get out of your comfort zone and have as many choices and do things that challenges you, things that makes you happy. And then one day those things will come together and you will be like, ah, it's because I did all that I'm here now.
That's true.
And that's what's happening to us. We were like, we made some choices. We went abroad. We came back. We traveled a lot. We wanted to write. We read lots of books, and suddenly now here we are, and we're like, oh, but I've written 4 books, and I'm doing things that I like, and I'm spending times with my kids, and all that has come together because of all those little choices before.
Yeah. People, they have told us that we were incoherent or
Incoherent.
incoherent because we did a lot of things. So you cannot fix yourself, Ninon. You move all the time, you change all the time, and at one point you're like, okay, maybe that's true, but no, I learned in my 40s to embrace all I am, the whole I am, because I'm Nino and I'm part of many things, and that's what makes me Nino, because I had all these experiences. And I'm learning to be proud of myself because Cecile, the Vietnamese woman, looked at my hand. That was crazy because she knew who we were just by reading our
Yeah.
poems. And
Yeah.
she said, Nino, you don't take care of yourself. You should take care of yourself more because you're very focused on other well-beings, but not yours. And you are a very complex human being. So take care of yourself. And I was like, yeah. And finally, if I look back on the 7 months, I learned how to edit books. I learned how to work with AI and stuff like this. I'm 47 years old, and people will be like, "Oh, you're quite old." And I felt I was old, but doing all that, I feel that I'm not that old. I'm not finished yet, and we met young people and they were like, oh,
Yeah.
you're not like all the grown up we meet. And I'm like, no, because we've been infused with the fact that when you come a certain age come responsibilities, and basically that's what you
Have to focus on.
to focus on first. But no, you can still continue to learn and build yourself into something you want to be. So I think when you go in an adventure like this, that we sold everything, we have nothing left.
Yeah.
It's quite violent, I will say, but you don't have a choice anymore. And maybe we needed that in our story. We needed that to be, in front of a big empty space and build again and create again to build a new road for us. And I don't regret it.
Yes, like I said, it's been amazing. It's been really, really amazing to follow you, and I can't wait to see where your next adventure is. So then, with that in mind, maybe you can tell the listeners if there's anything you're working on, and more importantly, where they can connect with you. Where's the best place for them to connect with you online?
Oh, I think Instagram is the best. The ways to teach. We're building. The ways to teach is basically a digital publishing company. It's an educative company and it's a bilingual company for the moment, just English and French. So we write books, we do workshops. Thomas is giving language classes, but very different than the school way. It's like we want to give people
The opportunity to
learn. Yeah.
and to learn more than just a foreign language.
Yeah.
Whenever I was teaching in school, I used the fact that I was supposed to teach English or supposed to teach French to teach everything. So history, society. We talked about many different kind of subjects because I saw languages as a means to an end and not just as the goal. And so this is what we're trying to do through our company, through the books we're writing, through the educational content we are creating, the games we are creating. All those are tools to help people learn skills rather than content. And those skills will be to develop their creativity, to foster their curiosity, encourage them to go and look beyond
Yeah.
the foreground, and we're doing that in different way.
We're very specialized on project-based learning.
So we're also in the process of creating like not workshop, like podcasts that you can purchase, listen, and it will help you build yourself as so the first one coming out is how to teach English to your children when you don't speak English. So that one is going to come out. There's going to be one about how to create project-based learning.
We use teaching as a word because that's what people are used to, but it's more acquiring, because you don't learn a language, you acquire a language, and it's a really natural thing, and it takes a bit of time, but it's just very simple, and you can do it even if you don't live in a foreign country. You have to be quite disciplined, a bit of organization, but that's what happened to us. Our kids are fully bilingual in English. They're better than us, and they never had a single lesson. Not a book, nothing.
One of the best feedback I received recently from one of my recent students is well, the feedback was coming from the parents. It was that thanks to the brackets English class that they have with me, they've improved on many other subjects.
Yeah.
Because I don't teach content, I teach skill. And that's exactly what Worldschooling allowed us to do. Our children learn to be curious. They learn to go and look beyond, to question.
Yeah.
They learn to create things by themselves, and all that will be helpful whatever path they choose in the future. If they want to go academic, if they want to go entrepreneurial, if they want to live their life in any other way that I can't even think of right now, they will have the skills to do it because they will be confident in themselves, and they will know that if there is a challenge, they can overcome it through perseverance and sheer will. And I think that's the best lesson we can give them.
Absolutely, yes. And it's kind of a really holistic way of teaching as well, which is, I think, super, super important, especially like you said, because we don't know what the world is going to be like in 5 or 10 years. So we need our kids to be ready for that.
Yeah.
So I just have to say thank you so very much for sharing your experiences and insights, the challenges, the wins about Worldschooling. It's been amazing to talk to you, and I'm sure the listeners are going to get so much value out of this episode. So thank you so very much for your time today.
Well, thank you for having us. It was great.
I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Please let me know what your greatest takeaway was. You can reach out to me on Instagram at charlottejones247 or on my website at mylittlehomeschool.com, or you could even drop me an email at hello@mylittlehomeschool.com. I'd be ever so grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It will help spread the news about being a working homeschool mom, and in that way we can build this wonderful supportive community together. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, take care.